The breeze swept through the valley, carrying tales in its whispers, gentle and yearning for ears that would truly hear. Caleb Warwick stood propped against his ranch house doorway, shirt sleeves pushed high, hands marked with labor and earth. Sunset had slipped behind the tall trees, bathing the landscape in that amber quiet where all things, creatures, souls, and old wounds, seemed to pause in reverence. He ran his fingers through the fur of Amos, his faithful herding companion, while scanning the endless expanse as though it held secrets it refused to share. Solitude had claimed him not through catastrophe, but through the slow passage of years. Time possessed a strange ability to filter existence, preserving only what proved resilient or precious. Caleb had evolved into both. As evening deepened, movement caught his attention in the pasture's lengthening shadows. 3 horsemen approached with measured pace, neither concealing themselves nor rushing forward. Native riders, an elder weathered by elements and seasons. 2 women, one positioned slightly forward, the other casting sideways glances as if evaluating her surroundings. Caleb descended from his porch but made no move toward his weapon. The elder halted and offered acknowledgement. "I am Tacoma," his voice rumbled like stones in water. "These are my daughters, Sonia and Amora." Their names drifted through the air like precious stones strung together. Caleb returned a measured nod. "What draws you here?" The chief dismounted with deliberate care. Not conflict, not alarm, simply one man observing another dwelling in isolation far too long. Caleb felt his chest constrict. Those words penetrated deeper than intended. "We arrive with a proposal," the chief continued. "You possess no companion, no warmth within your walls. She," he gestured toward Sonia, "is prepared if you prove willing." The hush that descended felt sacred. Sonia neither advanced nor offered pleasantries. She merely remained in place, spine straight, ebony hair woven into a single thick braid, eyes like aged hide, cautious, profound, and still. "I require no pity," Caleb stated quietly. "This isn't pity, it's decision." The wind stirred once more. Caleb's fingers clenched around emptiness. He nodded briefly, though not in acceptance. More like yielding to an inquiry he'd never expected to face. They departed without further exchange, establishing their temporary home near the dried riverbed several hills eastward. He observed their forms fade as twilight consumed the horizon. Come morning, a neat stack of firewood materialized beside his steps, arranged precisely and seasoned. A folded fabric lay across the railing. Amos investigated and showed approval. Caleb remained speechless. By the third dawn, he discovered a pouch of milled grain. Decorative stitching adorned its perimeter, tribal patterns, celestial bodies, and flowing lines. He traced the material as though it might reveal its mysteries. Sonia never announced herself, never drew near directly. She would manifest with daybreak, traverse the boundary markers, deposit her offering, then disappear before he could locate words that might explain her quietude. Yet Caleb noticed changes in himself, attending to his appearance more carefully, ensuring his clothing stayed presentable, keeping his entrance partially open when it once remained sealed shut. These weren't confessions, but they were signals. One sunrise, Amora lingered behind. Younger, inquisitive, barely containing her playfulness. "She won't extend the invitation twice," she stated matter-of-factly. Not from arrogance, but from exhaustion of pleading silently. "I never agreed," Caleb responded. "You never refused either." That evening, bitter cold arrived. Not the sharp kind that stings, but the creeping variety that seeps through everything. Caleb glanced at his fireplace and realized he hadn't kindled it for days. Something within had begun warming without flame. He moved to the window. Beyond the glass, Sonia walked toward the hill crest, moonbeams catching her wrap's edge. She didn't look back. The following day brought 3 carriages from the settlement. Neighbors. Men who once considered Caleb family now regarded him as though he'd lost his mind. "You considering one of them?" One called out with rough laughter. "Or are they considering you?" Another added with contempt. "Never figured you for loving their kind, Caleb. Thought you had better judgment." Caleb offered no response, simply held their gaze until they departed. They chuckled and withdrew, leaving dust clouds behind them like shame on wheels. Sonia had witnessed every insult. She stood beyond the barn, gaze downcast but expression unreadable. That night brought her absence. The morning after excluded Amora as well. The homestead felt more desolate than warranted. He attempted his usual tasks, but water turned metallic, sky appeared washed out. He longed for her quietude, missed her hands that never made contact, yet somehow mended everything they touched. He journeyed to their encampment. Only Chief Tacoma remained, drawing on something aromatic. "She will not return unless you retrieve her yourself," the chief declared. I spoke nothing inappropriate. You spoke nothing at all. Sometimes silence proves worse. Caleb provided no answer. He turned and walked toward solitude once again. The tempest struck that night, shrieking winds, rain cutting horizontally. Lightning split the fields like ancient wounds. Caleb rushed to secure the livestock shelter. He spotted flames, genuine fire, emanating from the tribal camp. He rode hard through the mud, grit filling his mouth. Their shelter had caved in, partially burning, partially soaked. Sanya was pulling her father from the blaze while Amora cried out in terror. Caleb leaped from his mount, lifted a fallen timber, tore through burning fabric, and found her shielding her sister with her shawl. Her hair hung drenched, face streaked with soot, yet she shed no tears. He grasped her hand. "Nobody should weather such storms alone," he said. She met his eyes. "I wasn't alone. You simply hadn't found me yet." He offered no reply, just draped his coat across her shoulders, his touch lingering. Together they reconstructed their shelter. Not ideal, not cozy, but protection. Through the night, he remained beside her beneath makeshift canvas while Chief Tacoma rested, breathing shallowly but steadily. Sanya murmured, "They reject me in your world. I'm uncertain I even accept myself in mine." She angled toward him, not intimately, just turned. "You aren't a flame someone receives," he said. "You're a flame someone deserves." He felt her fingers brush his, not invitation but permission. He didn't embrace her, though the impulse was equally powerful. Dawn arrived heavy and golden. Caleb returned to his ranch, retrieved a container holding his mother's ring, worn through 2 conflicts and 1 grief-filled existence. He came back to their camp. Chief Tacoma sat up gradually. "I didn't agree before," Caleb whispered, "because I failed to comprehend what was being presented. I understand now." The chief examined him, then nodded once. Sanya emerged from the woodland, drying her hands. She wore the wrap again, Caleb's old one. Its border was mended with identical stitching as the grain pouch. She approached without smiling or questioning. He extended the ring. She didn't accept it. Instead, she took his hand, slipped the ring onto her own finger, and spoke just 1 word. "Now." They remained in stillness. Amos barked once, a single burst of joy cutting through the quiet. That evening she stood on Caleb's porch, watching moonrise over the distant ridge. He appeared carrying 2 cups of strong coffee. No celebrations occurred, no words were exchanged. They simply existed together. From that silence, something genuine emerged. Something others needn't comprehend. Not every love announces itself loudly. Some arrive like seasons changing, unexpected, gentle, and abundant with possibility. Sometimes discovery isn't about locating the perfect person. It's about recognizing the steady strength of someone who continues appearing even when the world discourages her presence. If fortune smiles upon you, someday you'll learn what Caleb discovered. Fire doesn't plead for attention. It waits until you're finally ready to see its glow. If this tale stirred something peaceful within you, share it with someone who still believes in patient love, quiet courage, and fresh beginnings. Tell us below, have you encountered someone who transformed your silence into comfort? Subscribe for more frontier stories that explore not just adventure and conflict, but souls, dreams, and restoration beneath boundless heavens. One tale, one flame at a time.